The United States, one of the wealthiest countries in the world, ranks surprisingly average when it comes to our retirement system. So, why is that? We're going to look at two studies today. One is the Mercer CFA Institute Global Pension Index, and that puts the US at number 29 in its ranking out of 48 global pension systems. The other study is the Natixis Investment Management Study, and that puts US at number 22 out of 44. So you can see in both these studies, we are pretty average. We're going to break down these rankings today and explore what's holding the US back and what we can learn from the top systems. My name is Scott Caulfield. I'm a CPA, and a CFA charter holder, and the founder of Sophos Wealth Management. So let's start by looking at what I consider the better of the two studies, and that's the Mercer CFA study. Now, this is where the US ranks number 29 in the world. The top of the study is dominated by Scandinavian countries. So we're looking at Netherlands, Iceland, Denmark. Israel's number four. And if you look at the rankings here, you're going to see you've got the overall grades, A through D. You've got the total score, and that's broken down by kind of the sub-index rankings, which are based on adequacy, sustainability, and integrity. And we'll talk about how they get these in just a second. It is kind of surprising to see the US is it's in such company as Colombia, Saudi Arabia, Poland, China. You know, given our economic standing in the world, you'd expect our retirement system to maybe rank a little bit higher. And I think some of what it makes America great is maybe some of the same freedoms that are holding us back. But let's get into just how do they come up with these rankings. So they use those three factors I just mentioned. 40% of the survey is based on, or those 40% of the rankings are based on adequacy. So adequacy is basically looking at the benefits provided by the current system. Frankly, I think it should probably be a higher proportion of the overall rankings rather than just 40%. So, this is the benefits, the savings, the system design, other things like home ownership, just how good is retirement at replacing the average income. Now, second one is sustainability. So this is looking at things like pension coverage, economic growth, government debt. We're trying to get an idea. They're trying to get an idea of how well the system can sustain these benefits into the future. It doesn't do a country a lot of good to pay out great benefits today if they can't support those benefits tomorrow. And then the final ranking is based on integrity. So this is things like regulation, governance, the protection of the system. If we look at the US in particular, here's what they show in their little infographic. So US ranks about 30th in our adequacy, so very similar to our overall ranking. Pretty good on sustainability, 19th, and pretty poor on integrity, number 46. So almost last place. The US supposedly could improve our rankings if we raise the minimum pension for low income earners. We improve vesting of benefits. If we basically, they talk about reducing pre-retirement leakage. Now, this has to do with the fact that you can tap your IRA, 401k, private savings or private retirement savings before retirement. And then also, as they say about this requirement that retirement benefits be taken as an income stream, in the US, you can take all of your IRA out basically at any time. The same things that hurt us in some of these are also, like I said, what I like about America. And this is what, I guess in their rankings, it's the downside of freedom. So most of the top ranking systems, you look at like the Scandinavian countries, for example, they've got a public pension system, so similar to Social Security, although theirs might be a little bit more robust. Low income earners probably get a higher percentage of their wages replaced by their pension systems. And I think everyone across the board receives more in benefits as a percentage of their income, although they pay more into the system as well. Now, the other aspect, though, is most of the top ranking countries have a compulsory private system, meaning that, like in the US, it's your choice whether you're going to save into your 401k or your IRA at work. In a lot of these other countries, that is not a choice. You have to save into the system. Additionally, in a lot of these other systems, you are not allowed to touch those IRAs, 401ks, and those country equivalents. So in the US, the fact that you have the freedom to tap that IRA um, that hurts our rankings across the board. And, it just comes down to individual responsibility. And the US obviously places a lot of value on that, and some of the other countries don't. If you look across the board, that's going to help their rankings. You can argue whether it's good or bad. I mean, some people have created amazing businesses and done amazing things by tapping their IRAs and retirements. But at the same point in time, there are many US retirees or pre retirees who do not have enough to cover their spending in retirement. So there's gives and bads to the system, I guess. One other comment I have on this one that I think is a little troubling to me is just how low the US ranks in integrity. I mean, I think, from an investing standpoint, if we consider investing in the stock market, US has one of, if not the best rules of law in the world. So to see us be at number 46 out of 48 in terms of the integrity of the system, that's surprising to me. I mean, when it comes to the rule of law and how much weight I would place on our system, I would put US top 5, top 10 in the world. So I'm surprised at how they got these rankings. Second study, the Natixis study, this one puts US number 22 in the world. Top 5, again, you're looking at things like Sweden, Norway, Iceland, Ireland, Netherlands. Here's the overall rankings. You see the US is kind of close to Japan and France and Israel. Now, this study I maybe place less weight on because it doesn't actually have to do anything to do with retirement savings or pensions. They are looking at four factors. So it's health, finances, quality of life, and material well-being. When you break down the actual details, one thing that surprises me is the US weakness in material well-being. So this is things like income inequality, income per capita. Now, not surprisingly, I think US is not doing great on income inequality, but income per capita, US is one of the highest in the world. In fact, if we look at IMF data, the US comes in the fifth highest in the world. And it's, much, much higher than a lot of the other average countries, much higher than most European countries. So I'm a little surprised we're not higher on that. I realize our income inequality is not great and unemployment's been rising, but still, relative to most places in the world, you'd think material well being, US is doing pretty good. The other one I find kind of weird, if you look at the finances in retirement, you would think, isn't that pensions, IRAs, that kind of stuff? And in fact, it doesn't really have much to do with that. And you're looking at things like inflation, interest rate, tax pressures, government indebtedness. Um, so not really the factors that would contribute to retirement. I think the Natixis study is kind of interesting in the sense of it paints a good picture of quality of life for retirees. So there's lots of measurements of happiness and health and basically how great is a place to live in retirement. And, so it's interesting from that perspective. And in general, at least for the US, the results kind of link up, right? It's pretty average. I hope you found this interesting. I think kind of takeaway for me is the US certainly could do better if we had a more robust system, if Social Security replaced a higher level of our income across the board, and especially for the, say, lower quartile, lower, say, 20% of the country. I think that would go a long way in solving income inequality and also increasing our rankings. But there's a cost to that. That would mean higher taxes, and then also to rate higher, we would have to have more compulsory savings and less freedoms with our retirement savings. Now, I do think a good shift the U.S. has been making over the last couple decades. It used to be an opt-in program for 401ks, meaning you would have to actively choose to contribute. Nowadays, you have to opt out, meaning you have to choose not to contribute when you start. So we're doing some kind of common sense things that have been increasing people's savings. But as the overall country has gone from a largely defined benefit, meaning people receive pensions through work, to a defined contribution system, meaning you save into your own personal account, we need to do things to probably bolster individual responsibility and just make it easy to save and win. But then again, it's definitely questionable how much we want to do because some of what makes us great is those individual freedoms and responsibilities. So hope you found this interesting. Appreciate it if you liked the video. Subscribe to my channel and share it with anyone you think would benefit. Thanks for tuning in today.